everyone. Today I've got my WandaVision Episode 7 Disney Plus review. With only a couple episodes left until the finale, is this show still answering all of your questions? So as far as the story goes, this episode is in the style of Modern Family. I never really got into that show, yet I know exactly their formula with how they sort of, did the show, and I could see that when they were sort of doing interview mode and, having these characters talk to somebody in front of a camera, at times it didn't always work for me, and I was thinking, how exactly are they going to make a show like Modern Family fit into the MCU? And I always wondered who Wanda was actually talking to behind the camera, because she was the main focus of this episode. This episode starts the day after the Halloween episode, and it was actually hilarious to see, Wanda interacting with her kids, not really wanting to have anything to do with them so early in the morning. I mean, she was basically playing a really exhausted and tired mom. I mean, she definitely went out trick-or-treating last night, and she probably wanted to be left alone, so I thought that was, very clever to sort of incorporate that here and sort of actually have it connect, even though I feel like a lot of these episodes, didn't always come off like, okay, so this happened and then 24 hours later, this happens. It's like you never really know what time it is in these shows, or at least you never know what year it is, or at least what decade, for the most part. As far as the casting goes, I thought that Elizabeth Olsen, still does a really good job as Wanda, and I actually think this suits her a lot more to sort of come off like this average, everyday, like regular American girl, kind of like how her sisters were in Full House. While Wanda might think she's fine, sometimes on camera she comes off like she's slowly starting to lose her mind, and it's actually, almost terrifying to see, or unpredictable, because you never know which way this is gonna go. You never know how she's going to react to things, because every episode just seems to escalate and progress whatever symptoms she might be having, and it's just pretty insane to see, her sort of starting to lose it. Like, there's an instant that happens in her own kitchen, and I'm just like, oh gosh, Wanda, please don't burn your house down or something. Paul Bettany as Vision, parallel to what Wanda is experiencing, he actually starts to gain the knowledge of his former self by, and what happened to him in Avengers Infinity War, which is still sad, I have to say. And Darcy ends up telling him everything, and it is starting to affect him, so he's probably wondering a few episodes back, clearly that conversation he had with Wanda meant nothing, especially when he's, not really getting through to her, but hopefully eventually he does, and they start to, sort out all of these issues that they seem to be having. And speaking of Darcy, she is now trapped in Westview, and what better way to introduce her character than in a circus, and she's playing this escape artist. And, at first I thought that she would, partially, like, not remember who she was, but she says something that almost got me, like, Wanda and Vision's love for each other is real. I mean, I probably almost teared up, because I actually believe it, and still, after all these episodes, I really believe that chemistry between Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany as Wanda and Vision, it really does sell it for me. And Catherine Hahn, who, is playing Agnes, and she's acting like this babysitter that, you wouldn't want to have around. I personally wouldn't want to have her watching my kids, which brings me to the big reveal of the series. And if you probably didn't already guess already, but Agnes is really Agatha Harkness. I mean, come on, the name is basically connected, and you can't spell Agatha Harkness without Agnes. She, in the comics, was a witch who teaches Wanda some magic spells. And so the fact that we see her now using magic is pretty awesome. And I think she looks really creepy. I mean, it almost gave me chills when I first saw her looking at Wanda, and I was just like, now we know who's been messing with everything. And Monica Rambeau is also attempting to re-enter Westview, and it was really awesome how it all went down, especially in this big-ass vehicle. And I heard that some viewers were wondering if she was going to inherit some powers. I mean, eventually, come on, it's episode 7. We gotta see something coming from her. She's ready. And when she did, it was incredible to see. And she definitely stood out to me here, especially when she encounters Wanda and Agatha later down the road. And I just thought their interaction was almost equally terrifying. It almost reminded me of X-Men 3 and, being like almost alone in the neighborhood, but you're standing up against another supposed enemy. And also, I actually find it funny that I brought up X-Men because Wanda in the comics was, supposed to be a part of the X-Men franchise, being the daughter to Magneto. At least that's what I heard. I could be wrong, but either way. So the things that I liked about this episode is that it is still pretty quirky. Not only did it have all of the modern family level jokes, the choice of commercial this time around was all about questioning reality. And we all know that there are a lot of weird things going on in Wanda's life, and she seems to not be the one in control. Or is she? And according to that catchy song we hear later on in the episode, it's been Agatha all along. Now available on iTunes. And apparently she killed the family dog too! Thanks a lot for yet another Wizard of Oz reference. If Agatha said, "I'll get you my pretty and your little dog too," I'd call John Wick immediately. But first, Wanda needs to locate her missing kids, which was actually foreshadowed early on in this episode. Also, last but not least, there's a credit scene with Monica Rambeau, who interacts with Evan Peters, and I'm really glad that she has powers now, because I think she looks really cool, because it was starting to worry me if she didn't have those powers, if something was going to happen to her when she was around this imposter. So overall, I would say that I really loved this episode. It really surprised me a few times, and of course, I was blown away by some of the big reveals here. So I would highly recommend seeing this episode, and I would give this 5 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of WandaVision episode 7. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Chill Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys later.